Hello and welcome back to another video. Today I'll be walking you through the 5 best rebuilds you can do before FIFA 21 comes to an end. We'll be going through a different level of teams, so we'll have some poorer teams, some top division teams, some rich teams, some poor teams, some old teams and some young teams. So you'll have a good choice of different teams you can use for whatever situation you feel like having. So let's get straight into my list, starting with one of the most common teams on there, which is going to be Sunderland. Now, everyone knows Sunderland. They were in the Premier League only about 5 seasons ago. They've had documentaries made about them. They've had big name players come in. They've had people like Jack Rodwell bleeding the club dry, but they find themselves in League One not only this season, but also next season. So this is a save that you can do on FIFA 21 or FIFA 22. Now, Sunderland are in desperate need of a rebuild. They have a fairly average team for the level, but they do have a big budget, a real stadium, and of course, huge amount of fans. Now, you're going to be needing to use that revenue that's coming in from the fans to rebuild your team with good young players, something that every rebuild needs. And that's why I think they're one of the perfect choices for a career mode rebuild before this save cycle ends. In real life, their current manager Lee Johnson is taking them on a very youthful turn, getting rid of some of their older players and bringing in good young talent. And that's exactly what you're going to need to continue when you take over them as manager. The main areas you're going to need to look for new signings are League 2 and the Scottish League, which are both very common hunting grounds for Sunderland over the past couple of years. And I think you're going to find quite a lot of talent in both of these leagues. It might not be the case in real life, but you could sign someone like Josh Doig, who's been wanted by bigger clubs like Burnley and Nottingham Forest. Or you could go for a target that Sunderland actually have in real life, Lee Griffiths, who would be a very good striker for this level. With a £5 million budget, you really do have a ton of money for a League 1 team. The average budget for a team in this league is around 1.1 million, and the next best budget in the league is Hull City, who are over $1 million behind you. So you really can splash the cash, buy any player you want in the league, and rebuild to your heart's content, which is a very good foundation if you want to get to the Championship and back to the Premier League with Sunderland. You're very likely going to be using some of the players that you sign in the first season's rebuild. I highly recommend Sunderland as either your final FIFA 21 rebuild or as your FIFA 22 first rebuild save. Staying in England, we have the second rebuild team on this league. It's the last English team, and it's going to be West Ham United. Now, West Ham are pretty unique in the Premier League in that they have a very high average age for the level. They also have an average budget, they have a real stadium, and they do have a few standout players. Lucas Fabianski's already a really good player, although he is very old at 35 years old, but the defensive midfield is where West Ham really do shine. Declan Rice and Thomas Souček both have Champions League level potential, so if you can keep a hold of both of them, you'll have rock solid foundations at the base of your midfield, no matter who you rebuild in front of them. Antonio is really effective on FIFA, of course, with quite a lot of pace, good strength and good finishing. Benrahma and Fornals are both pretty decent wingers, although Fornals is probably going to be one of the first players you replace in your rebuild because he is a fairly slow winger which is not going to be effective against most Premier League fullbacks. Lingard, of course, was a standout player from January onwards, but he's only on loan, so again, another player you're going to need to rebuild. With a budget of just £31 million or €35 million, you're going to have to be frugal to get Premier League standard players for such a small amount of money, so you're going to have to do a lot of selling to buy better players. That's why I think West Ham are going to be a very good option for a final rebuild. Moving out of the United Kingdom, we're actually going to move to Turkey. In quite a lot of ways, Turkey is similar to the Chinese league in that it has lots of big names, lots of old squads, and lots of large budgets. But the big advantage of Turkey over China is being able to play in the European competitions. China doesn't have anything like the Champions League, so you can get a similar experience while also having the really good licensed competitions that Turkey is eligible for. That's why I recommend you just pick any team from this league and give them a go. Just have a look through the squads on FIFA. The chances are you're going to see a player that you didn't know played. For example, Kayserispor, they have Aaron Lennon on the wing. Did you know he played in Turkey? Did you even know he still played? Why not give him a go in your final career mode? There's lots more choices like this. For example, Mesut Ozil at Fenerbahce, Falcao at Galatasaray, Luis Gustavo's also at Fenerbahce, Perotti's in the league, Kana Erkin, Domagoj Vida, Nasser Chadli, Ryan Babel, Lucas Biglia, Atiba Hutchinson, Loic Remy's playing in this league, Max Gradle, Ryan Donk. See, this is just a list of just random players who are just on different teams. So if you like some random player, he might have been good on FIFA 14, chances are, if they're still playing, they'll be at some random Turkish League team. So that's why I think you should just give it a go. Pick a team you like the kits, pick a team you like the badge, the name, the players. So just try out the Turkish League and see if you can bring glory to the Turkish nation in front of the whole of Western Europe. Staying in the Mediterranean, the next two teams we're looking at are going to count as one item on this list, and that's Lazio and Atalanta. Now, Lazio and Atalanta have different fortunes. They're both leaving FIFA 22, however, so this is the last chance you're going to have to use them on a FIFA as fully licensed for at least a short while. Lazio, of course, were a very big name in the last couple of decades, Atalanta less so, but recently Atalanta have actually been the better team. They play a good pressing style of football in a 3-4-3 formation with Ilicic, Zapata, Goossens, Darun, and recent Tottenham signing Romero playing at the back. It's actually pretty interesting to play as Atalanta because they have got the ability straight away to challenge any team in the league. They're set up in a very FIFA way. They've got rapid players you can bring in. You've probably heard of Luis Muriel, a Colombian who also links well with his fellow Colombian Dusan Zapata, who's a very good striker in the league. You've got Malinovsky. Ilicic has always had an absolute long shot on him, so I highly recommend you give him a go. Goossens, of course, was very good at left wing back for Germany until they got knocked out of the Euros, so I think Atalanta are probably the better choice of the two. Lazio's team is really good. They've got Immobile up front, of course. Luis Alberto, Milinkovic-Savic and Lucas Leiva are all better than anything Atalanta can offer. And then you've got Acerbi at the back, Pepe Reina in goal. So they're a team of very good Serie A players. They play a bit more of a long ball style compared to a pressing style. So if that's the way that you like to play, you probably should go for Lazio. But personally, I would go for Atalanta. I like the kits and I prefer their style of play. And I like some of their players like Ilicic, who you probably wouldn't have ever used if you hadn't started as Atalanta. So I'd recommend you give one of these two teams a go if you are interested in playing in Serie A and you want to save with someone who's not going to be on FIFA 22 anymore. Finally, another Mediterranean nation of Spain is where we're going to be heading, and we're going to Granada, which actually has an insane average age of 29.3. You can see why this needs a rebuild, because they've got so many old players and they have a very small budget of just £6.8 million. If you want a challenge, this is the challenge option on this list. They have some fairly good players. You might have heard of Rui Silva in goal, who's actually one of their youngest starting players at 26 years old. But they have Germain, a 33-year-old centre-back, Quinny, a 30-year-old left-back, Gonalon plays there now, 31, next to Montero, 32, and then up front they've got 38-year-old George Molina. Hopefully from just listing these ages without mentioning their ability, you can see how in desperate need they are of strengthening down the middle of the pitch. They do actually have some good young talent already. You've probably heard of Carlos Neva, who's a left-back, 24 years old, good potential. They have a Luis Suarez, but not that Luis Suarez, who has Champions League level potential, highly worth putting into your team. They've got Perez, Ateki, Sorrow, all very good potential. So you don't really have to invest that much. You can get away with just investing this £6 million in a few positions, putting some of these younger players that's on your bench into your first team, and trying to mesh your new signings with new young players while still retaining one or two of the older players in there, which I think gives you a nice realistic rebuild sort of squad, and it's starting to put your stamp on it straight away. Another team that I highly recommend, and probably the best one on this whole list to try and rebuild. Give Granada a go. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, feel free to drop a like or subscribe for more content like this. I've got some good videos planned for the rest of FIFA 21 and the FIFA 22. This week we've got a nice challenge video coming on Thursday, and then some more team recommendations and guides coming on Saturday. Hopefully you enjoyed this kind of content. If you do, stick around. I'll try and do a guide for Lazio and Atalanta probably in the next couple of days as well. Put it out on the channel so that you can get a bit more in-depth knowledge in how to use them. I've got quite a lot of good stuff planned for 22 as well, so looking forward to release week where I'm going to try and do a video every day. I don't know how I'm going to plan that in, but hopefully you're ready for that. And hopefully you'll subscribe so you don't miss anything from FIFA 21 or FIFA 22. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thanks all for watching, and I will see you very soon. Cheers and goodbye.